This is a haunting in Venice. Emma, can you introduce that to us?
Certainly. Poirot, now retired to Venice, hides from all of those people who are seeking his expertise, being a recluse gardener, until an old friend knocks at his door and asks for his assistance in finding out the truth about a woman who says she can speak to the spirit world. Here's a clip.
Please understand, madame, I would welcome with open arms any honest sign of devil or demon or ghost. For if there is a ghost, there is a soul. If there is a soul, there is a God who made it. And if we have God, we have everything, meaning, order, justice. But I have seen too much of the world. Countless crimes, 2 wars, the bitter evil of human indifference. And I conclude, no God, no ghosts. With respect, no mediums who can speak to them.
Scott, let's start with you for Haunting in Venice, shall we?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I'll be honest, I wasn't a great fan of the last 2 Kenneth Branagh Poirot films, Murder on the Orient Express and Death in the Nile. This one, I liked that they twisted it a little bit and put that horror spin onto this genre. I thought that as a narrative, I was quite into it. I couldn't really work out who the murderer was. That's obviously a good thing in these films, because the worst thing in a murder mystery is when you can work out too early on what happens. So this one had me. I thought just in terms of the look and the production design, they set up this haunted house and I thought it looked really creepy. I thought the way the score sort of lent into sort of classic horror sort of scores and beats, that really impressed me as well. They did attempt a couple of jump scares, which didn't make me jump, but I've got a feeling they might on some people who are not quite as used to horrors as I am. Performance-wise, I thought... So, when I did my written review, I said that it was quite a panto performance from most of the cast. I thought a lot of them were over the top in the way they were acting, but in a film like this, for some reason I didn't really mind it. There was something tonally that worked about that sort of overacting panto type of acting that they were giving. So yeah, I'm forgiving it on that front. There's one thing that I brought up that bugged me when I was watching it, and I think I might be the only person on earth. Guys, what I'm going to say with this one. Little Jude Hill, that some of you might remember from Belfast. The way he was costumed and the glasses in his hair, I felt so distracted by... If anyone's seen the old British sitcom Allo Allo, there is one of the Nazi characters called Herflick, and the way that Jude Hill is just costumed in this film just reminded me all the time of that character. And so I couldn't take him seriously throughout the whole film because I was just imagining him as this little Nazi when it's totally not anything to do with that in the slightest. But that put me off.
Here is a comparison picture of the two of them. You make your own mind up. I think Scott is in a subset of one here.
But yeah, I think on the whole, this was definitely the best of the 3 Kenneth Branagh Poirot films. I wouldn't actually mind if we got another one if we kept the whole spinning the murder mystery with a different genre vibe to it. I know we're having a little bit of a joke in our WhatsApp group earlier on. And yeah, I'd be kind of happy if they carried on this, but in different genres.
Okay. Andy?
I enjoyed it. I mean, I went through a spell as a teenager where I read every Agatha Christie book, and I read Halloween Party, on which this is based. Thankfully, I couldn't remember very much about it, and in actual fact, the film is very divorced from the book. Basically, it's the same basic plot, but what they've done is taken it in a slightly different direction from the book.
And put it in Venice.
And put it in Venice as well.
Instead of Surrey. Yeah.
Instead of Surrey, exactly. I mean, Canterville Ghost is out this weekend, the kids' animated cartoon, which is set in Surrey. So I know, I mean, for me, Murder on the Orient Express was the best of the 3. I really enjoyed that. This comes in second. I was really disappointed with Death on the Nile. Didn't work. I thought that whoever The murderer was obvious from the start. There was only one person it really could have been. And I thought some of the performances, despite the presence of French and Saunders and others, were a bit lacklustre. This one was really good. It was just your typical Agatha Christie plot, the Agatha Christie structure, where we get the crime, then we get another crime, and then another one, and then he gets everybody together at the end and all is revealed. So it's a nice, safe, comfortable film that I felt filled a couple of hours very nicely in the cinema. Nothing spectacular, but enjoyable.
Mm-hmm. Emma?
Yeah, I mean, very similar thoughts on it. I have to say that there was not a lot. I knew it was coming. I have a friend who's obsessed with Kenneth Branagh, so every second it's like, oh my god, it's like 8 days until it comes out. But I had not seen any trailers or anything for it. So the week before it was out, finally saw a trailer in the cinema, and I was like, oh, this looks amazing. Like, I was getting really good thriller vibes. I was like, oh, maybe it is, like you say, Scott, mixing it with the horror. It's going to change everything up. I came out and I was very disappointed that the trailer really did portray something that, in my opinion, the film was not. I was expecting it to be much, much more edgy than it was, and I think, although the setting was amazing, you know, the atmosphere, everything was perfect for this horror thriller detective story. The rest of it felt very much like it was just pulled from one of the first two films, which, as you said, like Andy said, you know, completely enjoyable to watch, pass some time, nothing disagreeable, but it really did feel like I was not getting what I was promised from that trailer, which was like, the trailer like gave me goosebumps. I was like, oh, I can't wait.
Yeah,
to that degree.
I get where you're getting there. Yeah. The illustrious Mrs. Movie Man didn't actually want to go and see this because she doesn't like horrors, and she thought the trailer was actually portraying it as much more of a horror type movie than it actually turned out to be. I actually enjoyed Death on the Nile more than Murder on the Orient Express. I thought it was glossy, and I loved the performance of Emma Mackey and Gal Gadot, and I thought the whole thing was really lush and glossy, old-fashioned picture. Didn't get any of that from this. This felt, I was really disappointed by this one. It just didn't work for me as a glossy, old-fashioned kind of Twilight Zone Tower of Terror type thing. It didn't work for me as the murder mystery either. I thought the performances were pretty hammy. I really liked Jude Hill in Belfast. He really annoyed me as Herr Flick of the Gestapo. Even though it's father and son again with Jamie Dornan in the film. There was a very interesting little bit of trivia. I think, again, I might have heard this on Commode and Mayo today, that in Belfast, the young boy opens a Christmas present, and one of his Christmas presents he opens is the book Halloween Party, which is amazing. Yeah. So it must have been kind of Branagh working through a little joke there, but that's a great little bit of trivia. But it just didn't work for me. I was just I thought it was flat and disappointing. I thought some of the shots of kind of pigeons on the streets of Venice kind of were almost kind of just stuck in there in order to fill it out. It didn't seem to add anything to the atmosphere like the shots of the streets and so on in Equalizer 3 did to that film. So for some reason it just didn't click with me. I'm probably being a grumpy old bastard here, right? But it just, I was disappointed. Scores on the doors. I'm going to give this one a very grumpy 5 out of 10. Emma?
I'm going to give it a not quite so grumpy 6.
6. Scott?
I'm going to give it an even lesser grumpy 7.
Okay, and Andy?
I'm going to give a 7 as well. It was
fun. So that's 14, 20, 25 divided by 4 is 6.25 for the Flickering Dreams score. So I'm sorry, Emma, and I have dragged this one down. It was borderline anyway, but this one is definitely a for Haunting in Venice. Okay.